All right guys, today on the art of plating, we're gonna use some leftovers that we had from yesterday. We made that amazing lemon ricotta. We're gonna make a heirloom tomato tart with a port reduction on the top. Just some ruby port. We're gonna reduce it down until it becomes a thick syrup. It's gonna offer the sweetness to the dish to counteract the tomato's acidity and serve it on a nice flaky golden brown crust. And then we're going to make an awesome lasagna bolognese. This started it all, right? Bolognese sauce is where we get our tomato sauce from. So we've got some ground beef, some rosemary, some thyme, red wine reduction, a little charred tomato in there, and we're gonna fold it all together with a little cream sauce and make lasagna. Doesn't get much better than that. Comfort food at its best, 101. So here we go. All right, so today on the art of plating, we're gonna talk about some comfort food and we're gonna use some leftovers. Last episode we made the ricotta, and so now we're going to fold it into a few dishes just to make it all well-rounded. So we're gonna make a lasagna bolognese. We made our ricotta here. We're gonna have some bolognese sauce with some tomato, rosemary, some red wine in there, little fire roasted tomatoes. So first, we're gonna start with making some lasagna shells. Here we go, we got some flour. Nah, we're not gonna do that. We've got a great bolognese, so we don't need to. We're just gonna use this store-bought and it'll be fine. Check it out. All right, we're gonna go into the pan with our hamburger meat. We're using 80-20. We want a little fat content in there. There we go, try not to splatter it. The whole trick to this is think about when you pan sear a steak, right? You want that really deep golden brown on the steak. So the same thing applies here to the ground beef. We want to get this really deep, nicely browned off. So we're going to add a little salt, a little pepper. There we go. All right. All right, now while that's getting ready, we're gonna come in and take our fresh basil, pick the leaves, and we're going to talk about a chiffonade cut. So we're going to stack the leaves up like paper. There we go. Take it, roll it up, and slice. So we're going to do this very last minute so everything, all the essential oils of the basil are still in there. And that's it, we have our chiffonade basil. All right, so we've got our beef browning off over here. We're getting that nice golden brown that we want to see. Now we're going to make our ricotta mixture for the lasagna. We have the basil that we chiffonade. We're just going to throw it into the bowl. A little bit of our herb mixture here. We just have some rosemary and thyme. There you go. Some of our Parmesan, locally sourced Parmesan here. All right, and let's give that a stir. And we're also going to throw an egg in here just to help everything set. So all that's going to do is a little salt as well. When the lasagna cooks, it's going to set. It's going to make it slice like a cake. I mean, who doesn't love eggy cheese? All right, so this is what we're looking for when we talk about browning. Just like a steak, it's nice golden brown. That's all the flavor in the dish right there. So now we're gonna add our chopped onion, all of our herbs, wow, can you smell that? It really brightens up the dish. All right, we're gonna go back onto the heat, and then we're gonna add our red wine. Check it out. All right, so we're gonna add the red wine here. This is gonna give it all that flavor that we need. Nice, rich. We've got a dry, just Cabernet Sauvignon, dry red wine. Little Hudson Valley red. It's gonna be super good. All right, we're gonna reduce that again, just like we talked about before. We're gonna reduce it by half. So we're gonna boil it out till half of the volume is gone. Add in our fire roasted tomatoes. And then we're gonna add in a touch of cream as well right at the end, just to round out the dish. All right, so our wine has reduced. Now we're gonna add our tomato product. Make this a full bolognese sauce. All right, so now we have, let's recap. We have our ground beef 80-20. We've got the rosemary, the thyme, chopped red onion, the red wine reduction. Now we've got our fire roasted tomato. Give it a little bit of smokiness in the dish. And we're gonna reduce this down again. This is all about building flavors here. All right, so we're gonna make our heirloom tomato tart. We've got the port reduction that we're gonna start first. Get that on the stove. We're gonna add in 2 cups of a ruby port here. We're gonna reduce it down by 3/4. It'll turn into a syrup. Be super nice. There we go. While we're doing that, we're gonna make the crust. Cup of flour. Cup of butter. Some salt, and that's it. Add some water. So we're gonna pulse it until it turns to wet sand. So it looks like wet sand. There we go. Now we add our water, and we're gonna just grab a little cup here, cold water, so we don't melt the butter. That's a convenient little thing. Actually, this got a little hole in the bottom. So, there we go. It drips it in automatically. Technology. All right, it's starting to come together. That is it. Working clean. Get everything out of the way. Port's reducing over there. And now we just need to roll this sucker out. Alright, we're just making one for the camera here, so we don't need it to be too big. Ideally, you'd want to let this set. Alright, so we've got the bolognese that's reduced down. We have the red wine, we've got the tomato. Now we're going to finish it with a touch of cream. Gonna bring everything together. All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna cut our lasagna shells down to fit this container. So we're just gonna kind of come in and trim off about a third of the sheet and lay it down in there nice and happy. We're gonna trim the end off as well. All right, so we're gonna trim this off to match the bowl. Now we're gonna lay a few more on top of it so everything matches. All right, guys, now we've trimmed up our lasagna shells. We're gonna grab a bowl, put our bolognese in there, and start building our lasagna. What do you think? All right, good thing we have this. All right, into the party you go. No turning back now. So we wanted this big, wide open pan, so it's gonna brown that meat faster. And then we're gonna throw it into the bowl. Done his job. Thank you for coming. Have a nice day. All right, let's build lasagna, guys. This is what we came for. You know, all the extra fun, fancy plating is great and all, but it's all about the comfort food, right? So let's do a layer of the bolognese. All right, lasagna shells coming up next. Perfectly sized, look at that. Like we tried almost. All right, the ricotta with our egg mixture. Fresh lemon ricotta. Got some basil, we got some thyme, some rosemary. We have an egg in there, so it'll set. So don't eat it raw. Another layer. There we go. Another pasta sheet. Gonna go pretty heavy on the ricotta this time. In fact, we're just gonna use the rest. Why not? That's the fun thing about cooking, right? You get to ad-lib. Get to add a little bit more, a little bit less, just depending on how you feel about it. And that's why I don't bake, because you can't do that in baking. All right, next pasta shell. Boom, look at that. Our final mixture of beef bolognese right on the top. The exact amount we needed to fill up this bad boy. All right, let's get it all the way to the edge. We don't want that lasagna drying out. All we need is some Parmesan to act like a fun little hat here. All right. Nice freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano on the top. Doesn't get much better than this. All right, we're gonna throw this guy in the oven. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're gonna pull it out with the magic of TV. It's gonna be golden brown, delicious. We're gonna take a slice, throw it on a plate. Check it out. All right, so we've got our pie crust here. We're gonna make our tomato tart. Are you guys excited? There we go. Nice handmade. I made this up here from the store is what I did. So there we go. We got this guy. We want to cut it a little bit larger than the shell itself so we can stuff it down in there. So we're just gonna go like this. Easy breezy. Boom, boom, boom. All right, now we're gonna put the insert back in there and we're gonna hold our breath. So one of the reasons we want to make these smaller mini shells is because it's easier to work with as well. And we're just going to take it, fold it in, fold it in. This is why we cut it larger than the pan, right? So we can fold it down in there. A beautiful pie shell, tart shell here. Look at that. Almost like we've done this before. All right, we got the next one coming up. Same thing. It's okay. All right, see a tour here? That's fine. That's the beauty of working with dough, is it's very fixable. It's forgiving. All right, so we're just gonna overlap it, push it down a little bit. Pushing away from the pan. All right, we've got some weights here, some pie weights. And we're just gonna add this whole thing. We're gonna blind bake it off so it cooks a little bit without any filling, so it doesn't get all soggy. We got one. We got two. All right, let's throw it in. All right, let's make a tomato tart, guys. We've got the tart shell blind baking off so it gets nice and golden brown. We've got our nice Kumato tomatoes here. We're gonna use a serrated knife, very important. See how easily it just goes through the tomato. And we're gonna make some 1/2-inch slices all the way through. We will call it 3 and see how that looks. These tomatoes are so good. They're so sweet. They're in the peak of their season. They're gonna go really nice with this ricotta. Check it out, you'll see. All right, guys, here we go. Let's take these tart shells out of the oven. Nice and hot, nice and crispy, ready to go. All right, longest set of party beads ever. All right, once, twice. There we go. All right, you ready to build these guys? So, we have the ricotta that we made earlier. We're just going to spoon it in. Gonna go pretty sparing with it. About 3 tablespoons here. All right, how easy could that be? All right, here we go. We're just gonna fan these out. All right back into the oven they go. I'm so nervous right now, I don't want to burn myself. All right, we got one in there safely, filling still intact. All right, we're gonna let those roast off, do their thing. When we come back, we're gonna plate that, plate the lasagna, see how it looks. Stay tuned. All right, guys, are you ready? It's the big moment here. We're gonna take out these tarts, see what happened. These are beautiful. Look at this crust on there, golden brown. Our heirloom tomatoes have also browned off nicely. Time to take these bad boys out of their tart shell, see what they look like here. These are super hot, be careful, watch your fingers, and watch what happens. Oh, there we go. Just gotta finagle it a little bit. Look at that. Almost like we planned it, huh? All right, we've got a nice bowl here. We're gonna showcase all the hard work that we put into it. All right. You don't know how bad that little corner kills me right there. All right, so we've got our port wine reduction. All this is a ruby port. It's a fortified wine, so it has all those natural sugars in there. And so once we reduced it, it turned into almost like a syrup. And it's gonna go really nicely with the tomatoes and the crust and the cheese. And we're just gonna drizzle it on the top. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil because everything's better with olive oil. And a little salt right at the end. All right, there you go. This is our heirloom tomato tart with the ricotta that we made earlier and the tart shell. The moment of truth. Is it great? Do I burn my face off? Let's find out. That's the best part. A little flaky, crusty end piece. Here we go. I'm so nervous right now. That is really good. You got the sweetness, the tartness from the reduction, the lemony ricotta, you can really tell it stands out really nicely. The dill comes through, and that's the herbs that we steeped in there earlier. And then the tomatoes, the star of the show. It lets you know it's there. Plays nicely with everybody as well. Can't go wrong. All right, let's get this lasagna out of the oven, onto a plate, into our belly. What do you think? All right, look at that. And we're just going rustic here, so we're gonna go nice big portion. All right, so you see how it holds up? That's that egg. That's the proteins in the egg. They held, they coagulated, and there we go. Fresh basil on the top. Stick a fork in it. That's done. So that was Comfort Food 101. We made the tomato tart, we tried it, it didn't quite make it through, and we also made this beautiful lasagna bolognese. We've got our house-made ricotta, the lemon, the dill really comes through nicely, the lasagna shell, some Parmesan on top, fresh basil. Stay tuned next time, we're gonna go into some more fun dishes that shows you the plating techniques of restaurant pros. Stay tuned.